Hey everyone, Travis Robertson, real estate coach, CEO, and founder of Robertson Coaching International, where we help agents just like you create businesses that support your life, not businesses that run your life. And today we're coming at you with part 3 of our 4-part series on how to choose a database platform and ultimately how to organize it and make more money for you and your business. Today's topic is how to organize your database and the contacts in your database so you can market to them more effectively. Now, before we jump in and how to do it correctly, I need to tell you that the majority of the information out there on how to organize your database is dead wrong. It's actually terrible advice because it forces you to think of people in a way that you don't normally think of people. What do I mean? Well, the traditional advice is the ABC method, right? Put people into categories of A leads or A people are the most important people to you, with B being second most important and then C being third most important. But here's the problem. What's the difference between one type of A and another type of A? Do you put past clients in A? Do you put current clients in A? Do you put people who've referred you business in A? And all of a sudden what you start to realize is that A has no specific meaning. It's arbitrary. And we don't think of people in terms of letters. You don't meet somebody and go, oh, she's an A. Well, maybe you do. But under normal circumstances, that's not how you categorize your relationships with people. How do you categorize relationships? Using relational terms. Friend, sphere of influence, lead, client, past client, seller lead, buyer lead. That's how we categorize people when speaking about them or talking with other people about people that we know. We don't do it based off of letters or numbers. So if you try and organize your relationships using letters or numbers, it's going to get frustrating, it's going to get cluttered, and ultimately you're just going to have a group of people that mean nothing to you, and you can't market differently to those different groups of people. So what we want to do is we want to organize our databases around the relationships that we have with people. Here's another problem with the ABC method of organizing people, is that can somebody be in multiple categories in that scenario? They can. But when organizing people relationally, if you have a good database platform like we talked about in part 2 of this series, what you can do is you can create multiple groups for people and put people into one or more of those groups. Here's a great example. You may have people that are friends and past clients, or they may be past clients and giving you referrals at some point in the relationship. So what you want to be able to do is not just put people into one strict specific category, but be able to organize them into maybe multiple groups based off of the contextual relationship that you have. Now, why do we want to organize based off of relationships? Well, it's so we can market to them specifically based off of those types of relationships, also known as context marketing. A great example of this is maybe you're going to do a party for your past clients. Well, if you have a past client group, it becomes very easy to send out marketing specific to that past client group. So here's another question. When thinking about all the different relational groups that you have, there's a lot. And my recommendation to you is this: start small because you can always grow from there. Think of the key relationships that you have in your business, create just those groups, and try and put as many of your contacts into one or more of those groups as possible before adding additional groups or additional categories to your database. Because the more categories you add, the more complex or granular or detail-oriented your database becomes, and the harder it becomes to maintain. A few recommended groups would be these. Create a group for buyer leads and seller leads, and maybe past clients and current clients. That could get you started with a lot of different people and putting them where they need to be so that you can ultimately market to them differently down the road. And then the last thing is this: how do you know when it's time to add a new category? I was actually having this conversation the other day with a client who said, should I create a category for people who've referred me one lead in the past and then maybe a category for people who've given me multiple leads in the past? And I said, that's a great question. Here's my question for you. Are you going to market to those people differently? Because if you're not going to market any differently to the people who've given you one lead versus the people who've given you multiple leads, why break it down? It's just going to create more work for you and ultimately your team if you're growing a team. So what we want to do is keep it simple and only expand the groups if it makes sense from a marketing or messaging perspective. So there you have it. The power in your database is tied up in the relationships that you have with people. And if your database isn't organized by those relationships, you can't possibly bring the value to those relationships that you need to bring in order to make the money that you want to make. So instead of doing the ABC 1, 2, 3, start thinking in terms of the relationships you share with people and organize your contacts accordingly. And then in the next video, I'll tell you how to actually take those different categories, take those different relationships, and start making more money with the relationships you already have, and what to do with new leads as they come in. So if you enjoyed this video, or if you're enjoying this video series, what I want you to do, click like below, also comment and subscribe so that we can keep in touch and find out what's working for you, what's not working for you, and maybe address a video specifically to your questions. I'll see you in the next video, part 4, where we talk about monetizing your database. See you soon. Then what you can do is you can create multiple oh gosh darn it. It's how to organize your database so that you can, but under normal circumstances, that's not how you categorize. And today we're coming at you with multiple categorizing. Gosh darn it, that word is just killing me.